Right, well, the weather's looking up, so I'm still in the shed. I bought a cutter for the horizontal mill. There aren't many of these shape. It's got a radius cutter. There's two different radiuses, one on one side and one on the other. I haven't seen many of those around. I know it's the wrong size, so what I've done is just make a sleeve on the lathe. I'm going to press that in, and then that will fit my arbor. Quite a nice fit. Alright, and support that cutter. But it is a keyed, there's a slot in there, so it's a keyed cutter. So I'm going to use the slotting head for the Tom Senior mill. I'm going to press this in, and then I'm going to put a slot in it. Although that slot there that's already in is quite a bit smaller than the slots on my arbor. Yeah, so I'll probably land up making a special key as well. Oh well, such is life. Yep, forgot to turn the camera on. Anyway, what the heck. Okay, I've cooled that down. That's super tight. It's actually a Brown and Sharp. It's a Brown and Sharp USA, and it's got good advice on it. Keep sharp. We'll bear that in mind. Okay, so I'm going to set up the mill. Right, setting up mill. First things first, we'll take this auto lock chuck off. Now I'll take off the knuckle head. So he comes off and sits flat on his face. And I know that this plate is just the wrong size for the slotting head. In fact, it just uses a slightly different width. It's imperial, so it's orange. And the width of that one is just over 1.5 inches. I'll take this bad boy off. God, that is heavy. I'll lay it on that side. So this one is the same. So to get it working, had to make a little shim, which it turns out is pretty much exactly 2mm thick, because I didn't want to adjust this drive mechanism here, which I had to rebush as well. Right, so now I'm going to fit this into here. I'll have to take these little dogs out. Right, I've just cleaned my vernier. Ow! You pig. I'm just doing a little rough guess. So that's 4/600. Yeah, so this width across here is way different to the knucklehead width. So this is way different size flange mounting, and I had to adapt it because the drive nut on the bottom just wouldn't marry. It was hanging off a bit. Right, okay. So if you buy a slotting attachment, make sure that it comes with the proper adapter. I think I had a carry-on. I seem to remember. I also seem to remember fighting to get this sucker on. Okay, here we go. Boxing clever now. Okay, so slotting head's in. The cutter is a bit of tool steel brazed onto a shank with a flat. It corresponds to the little grub screw. I'm going to have to make another cutter because that one's the wrong size. I tend to have the cutter facing that way and pull the work towards me, because then I can actually see what I'm cutting. If it cuts on this side and I'm pushing the work towards it, it's difficult to see what I'm doing. So I can see the cutter when it's going that way, but it's hard when it's coming this way. Okay, so we're back at the lathe. We've got a piece of 3/4 stock, which has got your tool brazed in the end. So here's my stock. I'm going to mount it in the 4-jaw in a collet.
Hold this, hold the collet, sorry. Put mark on for B. We're going to put an indicator on the tool post.
with a bit of fuffing about and adjusting, we've got that central. I'm going to cut off, and then we're going to turn down the outside diameter. We're looking good. Just check the job's tight. A bit of a hook spanner going on there. Okay. That doesn't sound too nice. Put a pop in it. Yeah, I can see that. Alright, so that to my thumb is the length that's in the slotting head. Opening. So we're about right there. So this sticking out is the bit what I want to reduce. Okay. Right, here's the plan. Now we've got 750 diameter. We want to take it down to 500, ½ inch. So that's 125 off each side. But I'm just going to take it all off one side and almost leave one side untouched. So I need to bring this work towards me by 125, and then these top and bottom sides should be on 0. So I'm coming 125 this way. So 100. Alright. So I've come about 125 that way. And this one should be zero. Okay, so hopefully somewhere around there, 0, minus 125, that should be 0. Right, wonderful. Well, I made a complete mess of that. So I'm going to do that again. It's taken me about 20 minutes to reset the whole thing. That's the high, that's the low, that's the high. So basically my first cut was too heavy and I overdid it. As I come back there, I'm good, I'm clear. Right, so let's take it off. 10th thou at a time. So I'm just coming along here, I'm doing this by hand, and slowly but surely I will get this round. I'm still doing it by hand. That way if I louse it up I can hit the off button quick. So we just kept whittling away at this, dropping it down, took the cuts up to 30 thou, put the power feed on and left it for the final tidying up. Right, well, we've got about 1/10 thou to go, and we're just blending the end of this with a round end tool, and then we're going to call it done. So 1/10 thou to go. We babied it along to start with. We were taking 20 thou cuts, got up to 30 thou, but I didn't want a chance crashing the machine again. That's a reasonably nice blend. Right, I'm going to call that done. Okay, well, we got what we were looking for. The cutter will go on that face there. We've relieved it there. Very nice. Right, so here it is in its glory. This is the high side here. I'm going to cut a piece of tool steel to the width of the slot I want. Cut a little slot in the top of here, braze that on, and then sharpen it. I'll put a flat on this end. Okay, here's my piece of tool steel. It's good because it says double super on it, so I'm going to take it down to 0.1875, which I think might be 3/16. Right, so I've thinned down that piece of tool steel, smartened up the end, put a bit of relief there. I'll cut it off here. Right, well, we're on the Thompson E, checking my vices parallel to the movement. Then I'm going to pick up the centre of this. Right, so I'm going to find the centre there. I'm just going to hunt it out. That's a true centre. Okay, we've eyeballed it up. We're on centre. We've got a slot. And what we'll do now is we'll put the locator in this end, and that's all indexed up. So okay, so what we're going to do now, we know that grooves spot on top center. And our location is completely opposite the cutter side. And then I know that my groove goes up there. The groove is at such and such distance from the end. So I'll measure the centre of that and put that in. Now we're going to braze the tool together. Right, there she be, the hearth. I've got a bit of bronze flux that we're going to dip into. With my bronze, I've flattened the end out a little bit to make space. I'm going to come in here, get a bit of flux in the groove, use oxypropane torch. Let's see how we go. And I want the cutter that way up. Alright, so happy days. Yes, I've got my fire blanket ready. So I'll just generally warm that up. Dead cool, isn't it? Right, well I haven't blown anything up, which is amazing. I'll let that cool slowly. Alright. So the oxypropane gets that really hot really quickly. It's quite impressive stuff. Okay, so that's brazed on now. I'm going to tidy this up. And then we'll have a cutter good to go. So I'm going to tidy this up, get the snot off it, and sharpen this. And when I sharpen it, there'll be a little bit of relief at the back, a little bit of relief on the front, and that'll be it. Right, so we've tidied that up a bit. That looks like it's in the straight, in the line of the shank. That's the relief on the front there, relief on the side there. So we're going to set this up and see if we can make some cuts in a minute. Okay, so here's the general arrangement. Got the cutter in the slotting head. It's on its maximum stroke. All the way up. That's all the way down. We're poking, yep, through underneath. So just feed it gently this way, cutter hitting there. Okay, so what we've done is change the geometry. Checked with a square. My leading edge wasn't leading, it was falling behind. Well, that's slow progress, so what I'll do is I'll have an inspect of the cutter, which is still alright. Okay, well we're winning now. We've got side relief, back relief, and it's working. You can see chips coming out the bottom, and I'll give you a different angle in a minute. Okay, so slightly different angle there. Just bring that cutter up without trapping your fingers. Right, so if I put a little bit of white paper behind, run the set square up to it, that's what I've got, and that's worked, so terrific. And we managed in the end quite a tidy slot. I ran off a little bit. I think that was me when I had the tool with the wrong cutting angle, wrong cutting geometry. Alright, so there we go. Tom Senior slotting head, cutting slots in a sleeve. Shed guy, go on.